I am calmer from that game. Hopefully, we will have a bit more of a civil discussion regarding the Chiefs and NFL officiating. If you checked out my Twitter, you could see kind of the saw the live reactions of what went on regarding the Chiefs and Texans game. So go check out the Twitter. But um, first and foremost, we got to get through some college basketball. Big weekend for hoops. All three big local schools won their respective games. The K State Wildcats beat the Nebraska Cornhuskers by a pretty healthy amount, 71-56. Missouri won on a buzzer beater to win their game. Excuse me, against UCF in the Orange Bowl Classic. If you didn't watch the end of that game, it was a fun game to watch, or at least a fun past couple of seconds or last couple of seconds to watch. Um, so Missouri moves to 10-1 on the season, and then the team that gave them that loss, the Kansas Jayhawks, thwomped Indiana, ranked number 14 Indiana, at home in Allen Fieldhouse. So big win for the Jayhawks. Big win for Missouri, winning over a team that kind of regularly makes the tournament. Um, haven't made it the past couple of years because they didn't have Taco Fall or any game breaking kind of guys. Um, and then and then the K State Wildcats getting a big win over Big Ten opponent Nebraska. They're looking good on the season as well. So overall, just really great hoops that we're seeing from the local schools. I think I think Missouri and K State are both sorely underestimated. Yeah, Missouri took a bad loss against KU. Um, in my opinion, it was because they were overconfident and underestimated a very good KU squad, which we will get into. Um, but Jerome Tang at K State has done wonderful for them. And Dennis Gates has as well for Missouri. So I like to see the uptake in competition. You know, Missouri basketball hasn't quite made it out of the woods yet. Neither has K State basketball. We'll have to see how conference play goes. But as of right now, it's looking good across the board for the local schools. So I have no complaints as a sports journalist and opinion writer. Um, as for KU, though, KU uh, KU looks good. I think they've found their stride finally. I think Bill Self has finally turned this team into a competitor. And the coming out party of KJ Adams has been a real treat to watch, as well as, of course, Grady Dick being who he is, and Jalen Wilson being who he is, and DeJuan Harris being one of the most, again, underrated point guards in the nation. It goes to show you that you don't have to score points to be an absolute game breaker. His defensive skills, his passing skills. I mean, there was there was a play that I shared on my Twitter of a masterclass at passing the ball in transition. I mean, absolute masterclass from DeJuan Harris and company. I believe it was three different Jayhawks that were in on that play, but it was unselfish basketball right under the net to secure the easy lay-in, and it was just chef's kiss, beautiful. Um, and you're gonna see more of that from the Jayhawks. I think. I think they're developing more into a complete team. They're developing more into a team that, yeah, they took that bad loss against Tennessee, but I think they put that behind them now, and I think they're getting ready for conference play and are going to definitely make a statement when it comes to conference play. I don't see anyone but KU really standing out in terms of the conference. So it's going to be competitive Big 12 aside from maybe that first spot, honestly, because I don't see Baylor taking KU down. I think KU might lose a game or two, but overall they have as good of a chance to repeat as anyone. And I'm not even saying that because I'm a former Jesus former KU grad. Um, but seriously, this is the most. That was this past game versus Indiana was the most complete I have ever seen the Jayhawks in the past couple of years, even beating out that national championship team. Um, and it was just a complete scoring effort. Yeah, Indiana kind of slept walk through it, but that's the reason they got beat by 22. So, uh, in, yeah, in terms of Indiana, that cannot happen as a ranked team, no matter if you're home or away. You cannot get scorched by 22 points against a fellow ranked opponent. You just can't. So, going back to K State, Missouri, like I said, they're still kind of wait and see programs. But starting off the non conference, having just one loss is is really good for this program, or for those programs. And again, Dennis Gates and Jerome Tang already making a difference for programs that were really struggling last year. So overall, I'm satisfied with the state of college basketball in the KC area. Even UMKC is not doing half bad. Let's check on UMKC, shall we? As a UMKC alum, I like to throw in some UMKC stuff here. Lindenwood, for those from the St. Louis area, just beat Knox College 77 to 42. So congrats to Lindenwood. Let's see if UMKC played even. I know I have it on Fox Sports, so let's go to Fox Sports. I have a lot of apps, if you can't tell. Okay, well, 4-9. They're 4-9. I thought I had read that they had a few more wins than that. Yeah, they beat Lindenwood. Let's see what other, if any, quality wins that they have. Indiana State, Larry Bird's alumnus, for those that don't know, got beat by UMKC. Um, and yeah, Calvary Bible. So, it's UMKC. I mean, they were in the same conference as Gonzaga for a long time, which says more about Gonzaga than it does about them. But yeah, they're UMKC. They're Kansas City's college basketball team, but we all know who Kansas City's real college basketball teams are. So, nothing but respect for my Masters alumni. But continuing on to our stadium discussion, I kind of want to keep this brief. It is a loaded topic that even I don't have, and I don't want to say I don't have enough expertise to speak on the matter, because I feel like I do. I've worked in sports for a long time. I've had, experiences dealing with stadiums and what goes into funding for a new stadium and building it and everything like that. Um, but let's address the discussion that I wanted to have about taxpayers and publicly funded stadiums. So, if you don't already know, the Royals are getting a stadium downtown. It's been confirmed at this point. I don't think there's going to be any stopping it, per se. And one of the main hedge issues for the city of Kansas City and the Royals franchise, was if this stadium was going to be taxpayer funded, so publicly funded, or privately funded. And from what we're reading, it sounds like it's going to be a little bit of both. That may have changed from the last meeting that they had, according to my grandfather, Gene Meyer, who's got some pull around, I would say, and has sat in on some of these meetings of city council and everything like that, and knows how important it is to kind of define what you want from the public when it comes to funding big projects. Well, he says, well, I'm not sure if I have already comment on this. Same. But I thought I had heard from last night's meeting that private money would be used to build the downtown stadium. I'm absolutely in favor of a downtown stadium. Um, so it sounds to me like there is going to be private funding for this stadium. It's not going to be all taxpayer funded, which is a huge boost um, for approval when it comes to this. If it were, if it came down to public funding, I really don't think this downtown stadium would happen. Nothing for nothing, but I am also for a downtown stadium. That being said, I understand the implications of it. And one of those implications is where you're going to put it. And I think the plan, from what I read at least, was on 18th and Vine, which is a pretty big residential area in Kansas City, and a place with a lot of history. And one of the main things that goes into stadium building and just overall putting in new facilities in the inner city is the concept of gentrification. Now, this isn't sports related necessarily, but it ties into what we're talking about, so bear with me. Gentrification is the process of, yes, bettering the material aspects of your city, but you're not bettering the personal lives of the people that live in your city, if that makes any sense, that already live in your city. Um, Gentrification is mainly used to attract richer, more well off people to your inner city, and can also be used to drive out those that maybe aren't as fortunate. And I'm not saying that that's what the Royals or the city of Kansas City is actively engaging in. I have no opinion on that. I'm not educated enough to make that statement, educated enough on the matter to make that statement. But it's a factor to think about. And when you are saying, well, hey, we're going to build this downtown stadium in district, you have to think about the people that live in that general area that you're going to be building. And you have to think about, how does this impact their lives? Is it going to increase their rent? Is it going to increase the cost of living, the cost of groceries, the cost of amenities? There are tons and tons of factors that go into building a new any facility or district in your downtown area. Um, and we've seen this type of thing happen in other cities, like in Oakland. Um, Oakland wanted to build a downtown stadium. They no longer wanted to have the stadium that was on the outskirts of Oakland, even so much so as going into Santa Clara almost, which is miles away from Oakland. Um, and basically, what happened was the A's promised a new stadium, but the stadium wouldn't go through because they were asking for public funds. And basically, what's happened with the Oakland A's is they've kind of held the city of Oakland hostage when it comes to public funding for this stadium. They've increased tax. They've actively increased taxes. They've actively lobbied city government to pay for their amenities. And frankly speaking, the Raiders did it too until they left. And the reason they left was because it was kind of the final straw for the city government saying, hey, like, we can't fund this stadium. It's just not possible. So Mark Davis just up and left Oakland. for Las Vegas, who is actively looking for pro sports teams right now, as we know, with the Vegas Golden Knights, with the Raiders, and I'm pretty sure they're looking for an NBA or a NHL franchise, or excuse me, not an NHL, an MLB franchise in the near future. I think they've got a professional lacrosse team there. They've got a professional women's basketball team there. They're working on gathering all these places. It's because hardly anyone lives in Las Vegas. It actually lives in the center of Las Vegas. It's more of they have a dedicated entertainment district, and Oakland just didn't. Oakland doesn't. So you're going to be building over residential areas when you're building in Oakland, but not necessarily in Las Vegas, who again has a dedicated district for those things. Kansas City doesn't have that dedicated district like Las Vegas does. They got Power and Light, yeah, and building around Power and Light, I've always personally been in favor of. I think if you put an NHL or NBA team in the Sprint Center, that's going to attract a ton of people. And honestly, I'm more in favor of that than the Royals going downtown. Yeah, the K's seen better days. Yeah, it would attract more people, but until you get a better baseball team, what good does it do? I mean, you have to have a good product on the field in order to attract people in the first place. If you're going to have a program that stinks up the place, no one's going to go watch it. People are going to go for the same reason that they go now, to get drunk and watch the Royals lose. I mean, am I wrong? I don't see, other than, yeah, the ticket prices or the tickets going up per se. Maybe that's a hypothetical because it hasn't always worked out for downtown stadiums. It hasn't always worked out for that. Uh, so color me skeptic when it comes to downtown stadiums is basically how I'm going to summarize this. And call me skeptic for the Royals being the first ones to move. This is a franchise that outside of 2014 and 2015, in, yeah, the 80s, has done nothing. Absolutely nothing. And yet you have a franchise that's across the state, 4 hours away, in the St. Louis Cardinals, that has stayed in the same stadium, that's been renovated, yes, that stayed in the same stadium, though, that has a dedicated fan base, that has a ton of corporate sponsorship, a ton of private funding, and is in the city that's about the same size as KC in terms of just general suburb area as well, in St. Louis, in the Cardinals. And I hate to say it because yeah, Cardinals people kind of stink, but they're just a better franchise. They're a better ran franchise that the Royals could really take a thing or two from. And it's rather intriguing to watch this downtown stadium being built when there are so many gripes from the Royals fan base regarding the Royals. And yeah, maybe by the time they move out, they'll be a really good team. Maybe that young core will develop. But there's a ton of maybes, a ton of maybes when it comes to this project. And I just don't see the feasibility in announcing it now. I think John Sherman has to focus on building a better team, possibly increasing that salary cap. There's no salary cap in the baseball world. Never mind. Just increasing the likability of this team, because it's upsetting to me that he thinks this downtown stadium is a cure-all for the apathy towards the Royals. It's not. It's putting a good product on the field and doing what you promised to do. That is what the Royals fans are looking for. They're not looking for a new stadium. Yeah, a new stadium would be nice. Yeah, cool little downtown sports district would be nice. Would it be nicer if we had something like that already? Yeah, it would, PNL. My point being is this. Maybe don't build on 18th and Vine. Maybe find a way to fit it down near PNL, or heck, invest in an NBA or an NHL team. If I'm the city of Kansas City, that's what I'm more focused on than putting the Royals downtown. And I get it, like, well, if we deny the Royals this, they'll leave. No, they won't. They have nowhere to go. They're a poverty franchise. And I hate saying that about the Royals because I love the Royals with all my heart and soul. But they're a small market team. No one's going to want them. It's not like I don't know. I just have my reservations about this move from the Royals. And while I agree that a downtown stadium would be cool and in some cases, yes, necessary, it's not necessary until you can get a product that is presentable on the field, and you do not have that yet. And yeah, maybe it will come by the time you get that downtown stadium built, but making these promises and throwing out these declarations of, oh, we're going to have this downtown stadium by 2025 or 2027, like, no. You don't get it. That's not what the people want to hear. So I struggle with the timing of this announcement, I should say. Again, I'm not fully against a downtown stadium. I'm really not, I promise. But I think the timing of this announcement and the fact that there is still that question that is up in the air of, is this stadium going to be publicly or privately funded when Kansas City has much bigger issues to worry about, kind of leaves me skeptic. So I'll leave it at that. Again, I am no expert on city planning, on the concepts of sociology, the advanced concepts of sociology and civics, but in my education that I've had working with sports administration, working on Missouri Boys State, where I worked on public administration, it's kind of a coin flip to it's something that leaves me skeptic. Let's just say that. So I'll end that talk there. My grandfather Gene Meyer was the only one that commented on that situation. Obviously, it's a very complicated and tough thing to talk about when you don't really know all that much about the industry. So I don't blame the low engagement on you guys at all. Again, I understand it is a very tough topic to talk about because even I'm struggling with it, as you can see. But I'm doing my best here. I did a lot of research in regards to it, and I hope that you guys can at least get an idea as to what is happening. Because that's the main goal. Not necessarily to get my opinion out there, but to let you know, hey, like, this is how your tax dollars are possibly going to be used in the scope of sports. So, going on to the Kansas City Chiefs, though, team that is not yet moving, but could. Again, there's articles out there if you want to read on them. But focusing on the current state of the Chiefs, holy cow, was that game far too close for comfort, and it didn't have to be. And it wasn't the Texans being good. It wasn't necessarily the Chiefs being bad. Yeah, there were a couple of boneheaded errors, but I mean, you'll get that with the Chiefs defense. Um, but it's a unit that steps up when it needs to most of the time. Yeah, they'll allow 24 points a game, but dang it, if they get to 25, man, the torpedoes. um, but yeah, just overall, the main thing that I want to talk about in regards to this game is the state of NFL officiating and the fact that it really just looks like they hire and retain people willy nilly. To be completely frank, um, and while I understand that there is a referee shortage and that referees are in short supply right now, given the climate of where most referees begin their careers in high school sports and in youth sports, is pretty bad. It's really bad, honestly. At this level, there's no excuse for what happened with the Chiefs and Texans game. The Chiefs doubled the Texans' yardage today, but the Texans were put in good positions due to penalties that were questionable to absolutely non existent. And the reason that those penalties were being called was because of the glorious masterwork of referee Carl Cheffers. Oh my gosh, this dude is awful. And it's not even reserved for the Chiefs, even though it does seem like he has it out for us because you got booed out of Arrowhead Stadium when they played the Raiders. Um, Mind you, that he was that same referee that had all those questionable calls in that game too. He's a guy that needs to retire or figure it out. Because frankly speaking, it is inexcusable to have such a pathetic excuse for officiating at this high of a level. You've got inadvertent whistles, you've got phantom penalties, you've got a guy that really seems like he's favoring one team over the other, and a guy that is completely ignorant to the safety of players. I mean, Patrick Mahomes cannot get choke slammed in the middle of a game. I mean, he just can't. And then when Juju Smith-Schuster got dropped on his head, and Smith, number one, was the guy on the Texans. There's no number one Smith on the Chiefs. That number one belongs to Jerick McKinnon, who had a great game today, mind you. But the guy that made the Batista bomb, I'm not going to call it a tackle, on Juju Smith Schuster, he jawed at the sideline and they called a blindside block on Jerick McKinnon, who literally just stood there and let the guy run into him. And the whole apologists, even for a Casey centric crew like Trent Green and Kevin Harlan, man, you don't have to bring on Gene Steratore for that. Of course, he's going to be an apologist for this god awful display of refereeing. I mean, it's terrible. There's no clarity to the rules. And this has happened not just with Carl Sheffer's crew, but with basically every crew in the NFL right now. There's no parity. There's no discretion of rules. You're protecting some players, but leaving other players out to dry, i.e., the Bills and Tom Brady. I it's gotten obvious. And the NFL looks like a Mickey Mouse league when they don't do anything about it. And they're not doing anything about it. And yeah, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They're a good team, and boy, does his fan base complain a lot. But there's a lot of justification for those complaints. A ton. And especially with Carl Cheffers. I mean, this guy is awful. And I am not one to criticize referees all that much, but the refereeing of Carl Cheffers is absolutely terrible. Terrible. I mean, it doesn't just it's not just reserved for the Chiefs. It's reserved it's everyone that Carl Cheffers referees. I mean, everyone's got to complain about him, but the NFL's not doing anything about it because politics. I mean, I'll just come right out and say it. It's because of politics, and it's because of the fact that they can't find anybody else. I guess. They're the world's one of the world's biggest sports leagues, and they can't find a good crew of referees. It's unbelievable. And the squeakiest wheel gets the grease, so keep complaining about it. But the NFL's a monopoly. I mean, let's be realistic here. They're not going to do anything about it. Maybe one day if it gets too egregious, but I mean, if they're not going to do anything about it on a game like today, where the penalty yardage equated to more than the actual yardage that the Texans had, they're not going to do anything about it. I mean, the whole referees don't have an impact on games. Yes, they do. The proof is right there in front of you. The Chiefs should have won this game handily, but they didn't because the Texans got a ton of penalties towards that went their way, and then the Chiefs didn't have any. I mean, I can remember, I can count on one hand how many penalties the Chiefs had go their way today. One hand. And that's against a glorified practice squad like the Texans. And yeah, I get it. The Chiefs have a problem of, and this is where we'll actually get into talking about the Chiefs and not NFL officiating. But the Chiefs do have a problem with playing to the level of their competition. I think there is a lack of discipline and leadership on this team, but they're a young team, so I kind of understand. But guys like Chris Jones, guys like Travis Kelce, guys like Frank Clark, Justin Reed, even Patrick Mahomes from time to time, you guys got to keep a cooler head. I mean, you do. Yes, it's an emotional game. It's an extremely emotional game. But the penalty that Travis Kelce suffered was because he was being a bonehead. Because he said something that set those referees off, and he knew darn well what referee crew he was dealing with. So why did he do it? Cooler heads have to prevail. And there has to be a leader that says, hey, let's do something about this instead of just wallowing in our sorrows. And there was a shot during today's game where all I saw was Chris Jones just talking to himself. And it didn't exactly look like anything positive. And I don't want to chastise Chris Jones on the basics of leadership and discipline because he's an amazing player and has shown that he can be a leader. But oh my gosh, dude, keep your mouth shut. If you have nothing positive to say, then don't say it. I mean, straight up, it's what a lot of professional athletes have to learn is a positive mindset goes a long way and allows for a successful team. I mean, look at Dan Campbell's Lions. They're a team that was a dumpster fire of the league last year. But you know what? And look at this year's Texans. Nothing for nothing, but this is a team that is scrappy. This is a team that tries hard, that has that positive attitude, even though they're 1-11. I mean, when you get a team of pretty boys, this is exactly what happens. And this team needs to stop being a bunch of pretty boys. Man up. Do something about it. Don't just continue to get punched in the mouth and complain and moan. Do something about it. Play better. Try harder. Be positive about your situation. You're one of the best teams in the NFL, and you're acting like you're a dumpster fire. And that goes for the Chiefs fans, too. There is so much negativity when it comes to Chiefs fans. And believe me, I'm no different. And I apologize for the negativity that I have when it comes to the Chiefs. But most of it's constructive. Most of it's constructive. For example, Butker getting involved in politics threw off his game, in my opinion. I think if you're going to get involved in politics as a professional athlete, you need to do it with some grace and not just come right out and say, hey, like, I'm actively working against the populace. Just a thought. Because you know who your fan base is, right? I'm not going to get into that. That's a topic for a completely different time. Yeah, we have to have a conversation about Harrison Butker at some point, though. The guy is the most inconsistent kicker in the NFL. He will drop 62-yard bombs and then miss a 27-yarder. Justin Tucker doesn't do that. Justin Tucker is one of the best kickers in the NFL. And we thought that Harrison Butker was too, but this year has proven that he's not. And it might be time to move on. I don't want to claim that just yet, but it's a thought that we need to have in the back of our heads. As for the defense, golly, where to begin? They still need to find a leader. They still need to find a guy that can tackle properly. And they can't allow third-string running backs to absolutely destroy them. Or in this case, Jeff Driscoll and Davis Mills, which, I'm sure some of Chiefs Kingdom hadn't even heard of Jeff Driscoll until today. He was great at Florida. And serviceable in Cincinnati. So, I'm glad the Chiefs came out with a win today, but man, it feels exactly like last week, where it just does not feel like this team won, or that this team is going to go anywhere near past the first round of the playoffs. I mean, you have these teams like Cincinnati, like Buffalo, like Miami, that don't lose and don't keep garbage teams in it. They beat them by 2 or 3 possessions and call it good. But here we have the Chiefs that lost to the Colts. They allowed the Rams to keep with them with their third-string practice squad quarterback, who was a rookie, mind you. You've got the Broncos, who had the league worst offense, come in and carve you up. And then you had the Texans, who's, again, is a glorified practice squad. This is not a defense that holds the Bills, that holds Cincinnati. And yeah, I get it. Like, we kept it close versus both of those teams, but that was when they were on their A game, honestly. And then the offense just wasn't. You have to be firing on all cylinders if you expect to win in the playoffs. And this team is not firing on all cylinders and is incredibly inconsistent. And Andy Reid, it seems basically apathetic towards it. I'm not putting all the blame on Steve Spagnuolo. I'm not. I'm putting the blame on the people that are apathetic to the fact that this team has a legitimate shot at the Super Bowl and they're playing like crap. I mean, yeah, they're winning, but they're playing like crap. And something needs to be done before you get to the playoffs. Otherwise, you're going to get drubbed in the first round by, I don't know, the Dolphins. Oh man, I cannot imagine what Tua, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle could do to that secondary. It gives me chills. And if it doesn't to you, it should. Because I'm not putting Tyreek Hill up against Jalen Watson. Tyreek Hill is going to murder that man. At least right now. Shoot, I would have trouble putting L'Jarius Sneed up against him, and he probably worked against him every day during practice. So, I again, there's just so many questions surrounding this Chiefs team this late into the season that it's hard seeing this team as a Super Bowl contender. With Patrick Mahomes, you always are, and that whole mantra. And I agree to that to a point, but just because you have Patrick Mahomes doesn't mean you don't have to try. That you don't have to play your best game still, week in and week out. And what we've seen is a growing apathy from top to bottom. I mean, from coaching staff all the way down to practice squad. This is not a team that looks like they want to win. And let's go ahead and just get into the positives here, though. I mean, Jerick McKinnon looks like a guy that wants to win. Patrick Mahomes looks like a guy that wants to win. Isaiah Pacheco looks like a guy that wants to win. And the fact that they pulled him out because he fumbled once because Andrew Wiley's big butt wouldn't get out of the way, that's not his fault. That's not Pacheco's fault. That's Andrew Wiley getting his butt kicked. That's the fact that this team does not have tackles. One of them's a big apathetic diva that thinks he's going to get paid this offseason. He won't. And he won't anywhere else either because he stinks. He's not good. I'm of course talking about Orlando Brown. But you know what, man? If you want to get paid, you got to play good. And frankly speaking, you have not been paying good. So therefore, you will not get paid. Simple as that. And Andrew Wiley, God love the man. He was here for our Super Bowl. He's not the answer at right tackle. He's serviceable. He's not the answer, though. So, I don't know. Just, I have a gut feeling that next year's draft is going to be a lot of offensive linemen. And hopefully a lot of defensive players as well. But I would honestly rather see defensive players come in free agency. I would rather see this team splurge in free agency on defensive players that are going to be free agents next year because there's going to be a lot of them and there's going to be a lot of really good ones that fit our scheme really well. Back to the positive notes though, like I said, Jerick McKinnon already in playoff form. Guys running like a madman, as is Pacheco. Our run game is incredibly strong, way stronger than what it was last year. Patrick Mahomes looked really good today. All things considered, he had 4 incompletions. I mean, that's the best you can ask for when you're constantly getting pressured from the outside from those edge rushers because your tackles just don't want to play. Travis Kelce, once he got angry, he played well. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had one of his best games as a Chief. He had a very solid showing. And overall, the offense looked pretty good. Um, and in terms of the defense, they knew when to buckle down, maybe a little late, but you know what? They won us the game. Frank the Shark Clark smelt blood, and he caused that fumble, which completely changed the outcome. I was incredibly angry at Harrison Butker for missing that field goal, and for the coaching staff for even allowing that to happen and not putting the ball in your best player's hands in that case. Yeah, the field position was a bit questionable. Yeah, at that point you're kind of playing for um, you're kind of playing to prevent a field goal on the other side. But you know what? Even if Butker misses that field, or even if Butker, let's just say the analytics match up for either outcome, and I would much rather have the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands than Harrison Butker's. So, in summary, refs bad, defense, eh, still a lot to work on. This team needs to find some leaders. This team needs to find some turnovers that go their way. Um, Team needs to limit the penalties. Yes, I know that there were a ton of phantom ones, but there were some ones that did check out. um, and just overall, have some fight. I mean, in every game, each week, you have to have fight and motivation to win. No games are gimmies in this league, and the Chiefs need to remember that. So, um, yeah, that's just kind of the summary of today's show. And then obviously we had some pretty great performances from guys that were due for a great performance. So, um, that's our show for today, though. Actually, pretty on par for um, shows. Oh, yes, we need to talk about the Burn KC real quick, or the Burn KC Fantasy Football League really quick, and then we can end the show. So yeah, pretty much on par for normal shows. I think that allergy medication is kicking in. So, um, let's look at the league here. Look at the matchups here. So, in playoff game numero uno, we've got a tightly contested one between KC Plowboys and the Average Joes. KC Plowboys are currently in the lead right now, 117.08 to 113.3. And it. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, no. So, Average Joes have only Saquon Barkley left to play, so unless he goes off and Alan Lazard and the LA Rams defense are held to minimal points, the Plowboys might have this in the bag. Um, but that all depends on the type of game that Saquon Barkley has against a pretty good Washington run defense. Um, it'll be tough to get those points to win. Average Joes are only down by 4, but that all will depend on how well Alan Lazard does against the LA Rams defense and how the well the LA Rams defense does against the Green Bay Packers. So it's kind of an oxymoron in a way, kind of a little bit of a conundrum for the Plowboys, but it's still anyone's game. We'll see what happens in the next couple of quarters in this Washington New York game, but it'll be interesting. Uh, Saquon Barkley just got another 2 points, bringing the Average Joes up to 115, so now only a 2-point game. And then we have the second playoff game, or the second semifinal game between the Berlin Twist Takers and Team Merrigan, another super tight race. So it looks like Team Merrigan's players are done playing with 125-4 to be the score to beat for the Berlin Twist Takers. Brandon, you need about 14 points from Tyler Higbee in order to win that game. Good luck, my friend. He's going to need some touchdowns. So be hopefully that Green Bay defense does not hold strong against tight ends, which honestly they really don't. So you got a good shot. But we'll just have to see. That one's going down to the wire as well. Some pretty exciting semifinal matchups for the BKCFL. Who will win that pot? In terms of the consolation games, Missy D Donders, Kansas City Crowhawks are winning 170.9 to 94.8. In fact, they've won 170.9 to 94.8. Congrats. You move on to the third place game, my mother. And it's looking like it right now. You're actually gonna be facing me. So that's gonna be the third place game. The Burn KC versus the Kansas City Crowhawks. Let's have a good one, Mom. Third place doesn't really matter in this league. Really the only place that matters is first. But you know what? Bragging rights. So that'll be fun. That'll be fun. Um, like I said last week, hoping for an even bigger league next year with an even bigger pot. Um, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun and interesting to see how that league develops. Great inaugural season so far. Love the participation. It's been great. Um, but yeah, we'll just see who takes first. It's looking like a real tight race and looking like anybody's game. So, um, or no, that would be the fifth place game between my mother and myself. The third place game would probably be against the losers of the semifinal. Now that I think about it, so my apologies for not knowing how tournaments work. Normally I do, but you know that's our show though. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. As always, you guys are the best. I love each and every one of you, platonically, of course, except for a select few. Um, but truly, madly, deeply, I appreciate and love each and every one of you. This is the Burn KC signing off. Have a great night. There will not be a Sunday ScorchCast on Christmas, which will be next Sunday. Be on the lookout for something that week, though, more than likely. I'll probably do something maybe on like the 27th or something. I'll be in Omaha for Christmas. And obviously, it's Christmas time. I would like to spend that with my family. And even though a lot of my family is on here, I want to see them in person. So, but we will have a ScorchCast sometime next week. More than likely, be on the lookout for the 27th. So it'll probably be like a Tuesday Torchcast, like we've had in the past. So, but anyways, that's our show. Have a great night. Have a great week. Hopefully, I could get you started on the right foot with a little bit of positivity there. But this has been the Burn KC. I have been your host, Alex Blackburn, signing off, and I will see you next week. One sec.